Good afternoon, everybody. It is Thursday afternoon. I didn't plan on doing any kind of a special uh, podcast or video shoot today, but there's a lot of people asking me questions about this WWE Monday Night Wars episode they did this past week. I guess I was addressed in it. And a lot of people are bringing it up to me. And, rather than me try to answer every comment, I thought I'd just go on air here and say a few things about it. First of all, I want to say a couple things. I'm headed for Cleveland. I wish it was Cleveland for one time. I'm headed for England tomorrow, and I'm honestly, man, I'm stressed. I'm nervous about this. I've never left my family this far before in my life. When I was working in the wrestling business, I always avoided going overseas somehow, somewhere. I don't like being that far away from home. I get stressed. You guys know I deal with depression. So this is a big step for me. Leaving for England tomorrow. I know I have to be on a plane for 12 hours. For somebody that doesn't like flying, that's a long freaking time. So, I'm just trying to gather my thoughts. Of course, it's a time like this where, it's got to be prayer, and I have to have absolute faith in God. I'm going there for a reason. You know what? Maybe I can reach somebody. Maybe I can make a difference in somebody's life. I mean, that's the important thing. And that's why I know at the end of the day, I'm nervous, I'm stressed, I'm worried about it. I know at the end of the day, God is sending me there for a reason. Whether it's to meet one certain individual and get one of his messages across, whatever it is, I don't know. All I know is I'm going to be Vince Russo over there. I'm going to be myself. I'm going to be, friendly and kind to the people I meet and talk to them when they ask me questions, because my whole goal whenever anybody meets me is I want them to see God through me. That really is my goal. I mean that. And you know what? Sometimes I fail at that because sometimes I lose my temper. Just sometimes I'll cut a promo, but every time I do that, I catch myself and I know I made a mistake and I ask for forgiveness and I get back on the horse and do it again. So my whole goal in going over to England is, all the people that I come across, I want them to see God through me. I want them to walk away and say, what is it about that Vince Russo? All that stuff we've read about him and heard about him. He's not that guy. What's different about him? Well, what's different about me is, Jesus Christ runs my life. That's what's different. And, now's a perfect example for me to share this with you because, yes, I should have absolute faith in him as a Christian and as a believer, and I live my life for him. But here I am going, on a 12-hour plane flight tomorrow, across the other side of the, world, and I'm nervous about it. But, I'm doing it. I'm doing it because I do have the absolute faith. I know I'm going to be taken care of. I know he's got something for me to do over there, so I'm going. But with that being said, when I talk about wanting people to see Jesus through me, and then people talk about this WWE, the Attitude Era and the Monday Night Wars, and I guess maybe while I was there, I'm not going to watch it. I'm just not going to, because there's no point in me looking at it and getting pissed off and then making a comeback. There's nothing good in that. But apparently, they said good things about me maybe while I was at the WWE, and then they built me up, and when I went to WCW, they tore me down. That's the way they decided to do it. Look, this is my take on things, and I hope I'm clear to you, okay? I don't believe in tearing anybody down, because I believe that people tear other people down by, they attempt to build themselves up by tearing other people down. That's why they do it. If Vince McMahon, wants everybody to believe that, he was the creative force behind the Attitude Era and everything stemmed from him, then good, Vince. If that's what you want people to believe, do it. But, the fact of the matter is, in order to achieve that, somewhere along the line, the decision is made to rip me down in the process. In other words, I was only as good as I was at the WWE because he was leading and guiding me. The second I didn't have that his leadership and guidance, and I went to WCW, I fell flat on my face. So, at the end of the day, it's a build up Vince, and we do that by breaking down and diminishing the other Vince. I don't believe in that, guys. I believe, listen, I'm never, ever, ever going to tear apart what anybody's ever accomplished and what anybody has ever tried to do. That's not me. That's not my gig. The minute I left TNA, everybody was trying to get me to, go down the Hogan and Bischoff road, and it was their fault that TNA failed and this, that, and the other thing. No, I was there. Those guys worked as hard as anybody else. I'm going to put them over for their effort and what they did. At the end of the day, they tried their best. Jim Cornette is another guy. He can go on the internet and say whatever he wants to say about Vince Russo's himself or his family or his career, whatever he wants to say for me. As far as I'm concerned, at the end of the day, I look at Jim Cornette's accomplishments in the wrestling business. I'm not going to take that away from him. The guy accomplished a great deal in the wrestling business, and he's a huge part of where the wrestling business is today. Why am I going to sit here and diminish him regardless of the negative things he says about me? That's not my game. Sometimes I get upset with myself because I'm critical about today's wrestling. I'm critical about the decisions that are being made, but that has nothing to do with an attack on the person. I get critical and I get frustrated and upset because I know what the wrestling business can be. I know what it was. I know it can be that again. When it takes steps backwards, that drives me absolutely crazy because as a wrestling fan, I want it the best that it can be, but I'm not going to sit here and blame people. Dixie Carter at TNA, Dixie Carter tries her best. She's doing what she believes is right, and she goes to work every day trying her best. Do I agree with all the things? Absolutely not. But I'm not going to sit here and break her down and degrade her and say she's this, that, and the other thing. She's trying the best that she can. Because of her, hundreds of people are employed in the wrestling business. That's across the board, man. So, again, my philosophy isn't to build myself up by tearing other people down. I don't believe in that. Like I said, if I have a critical spirit, it's because of wrestling and where I want wrestling to go and what I want wrestling to achieve. And when that's not happening, that upsets me because I am a fan and it is in my blood. And I was part of the industry for a very, very, very long time. But that's my take on it, man. I'm all for putting others over, trying to lift other people up. Why would I look back in an area of wrestling right now, the Attitude Era? Why would I just try to dismiss anybody's input, into that area? Why would I try to take away from what anybody accomplished? Why would I sit here? Am I going to blame Eric Bischoff for what happened at WCW, or Hulk Hogan for making too much money at WCW? I don't even know why I would go down that road. I really don't. People accomplish some great things in the wrestling business, and I like pointing out those accomplishments. I don't like diminishing people's characters, and I don't like diminishing people's contributions, and that's not my gig. So at the end of the day, to wrap this all up in a nice little bow, I'm not going to watch it. I'm not interested in what they have to say about me. I have nothing but wonderful things to say about people during that era at the WWE, and that's everybody that I worked for, because I've stated a million times, everybody was responsible for the success during that time. No matter who it was, it doesn't matter. Everybody worked so hard. Everybody did what they could possibly do. I go to WCW. I'm not going to blame anybody for what happened at WCW. At the end of the day, I went there. I did what I thought needed to be done. I tried my best. I don't have any regrets. And it turned out, guess what? Exactly the way it was supposed to turn out. My life, like everybody else's life out there, is scripted from the day that we were born. You know, God created us. He created us for a reason. He created us with a plan. He gave us all a uniqueness and a story. That's what he gave all of us, every single one of us. So nothing could have been changed in history. The fact that people are going to go on that show and diminish my character and diminish my accomplishments and try to take any credit away from me, that was designed before I was even born. So it's going to happen, and I'm not going to get upset by it. And I also, too, I want to apologize to those people that I may have done the same thing to. I really want to apologize because, listen, I'm human. I'm a human being. I'm sinner. People don't understand. We are all sinners because we come from Adam's gene, and Adam was the first man to sin. Therefore, we are all sinners. It's in our chemistry. That's why Jesus Christ had to give his life to forgive the rest of us, because he was the perfect man. He was not sinful. He never created a sin in his life. He had to be sacrificed for the rest of us to be forgiven. That's what it was all about. So yes, I've made some mistakes. Yes, I've probably said some things I shouldn't have said, and I apologize to everybody that I've ever said anything about in those weak moments. I'm human. But I also know I'm not going to diminish what anybody did, what their contributions were, not only at work, but in life. I believe the more we lift each other up, the better place this world is going to be. Am I? What am I? Am I going to sit here and say, yeah, I was all responsible for the Attitude Era. I did everything. Vince did nothing. Ed Ferrara did absolutely nothing. It was all me. I'm the greatest. I'm not going to do that. That's not important to me. It is much more important for me to put other people over. I enjoy putting other people over. I enjoy putting other people before me. You know, God had 2 commandments that he wanted. Number 1, love me. Number 2, love others. It's that simple. That is the blueprint of life. It's not that difficult to do. Love God first, love others second. So when I say something about somebody, it's going to be out of love. That's where I'm going. It's not going to be a personal attack. It's going to be an effort to put them over. And as I said, sometimes that gets difficult because my job now is to be a critic. I got to be critical of what people are doing, you know, in the wrestling business. That's how I'm earning a living now. But none of that is personal. It is all looking at it, you know, as a professional, as somebody with experience, and trying to you know, my point of view of things. And, you know, it's not how I personally feel about people. It's not. And like I said, if anybody's ever taken it that way, I apologize. I honestly do, from the bottom of my heart, because I've been on the other side of that for a long time, you know, numerous times. And I try my best to wake up every morning and be a better person that day. So listen, I'm going to ask you all to do this for me. I'm leaving tomorrow. I got a 12 o'clock flight. I hope you all say a prayer for me that I get there safely. You know, I'm going to be there for 10 days. I'm going to be there for a long time. So I'm going to be praying every day. I'm going to be relying on the strength of God. But like I said, the most important thing is the people I'm supposed to meet in my travels, and the discussions I'm supposed to have, and what people are supposed to take from me, just like in your everyday life right now when you go to work. What do you want people going home saying about you? You know, do you want them saying, you know, Vince Russo is an a-hole? Or do you want them saying, you know what, Vince said something today that really inspired me? That's how you make the world a better place. It isn't freaking rocket science. Put your neighbor over, put people first. I always said this. Listen, once I became a Christian, it's been 10 years now. The first thing I learned was you have to put others before yourselves. Now, of course, I don't do that 100% of the time because I'm human and I'm a sinner, but I do it most of the time, and I work at trying to get better. But one thing I found was when you put others over before yourself, do you understand how much more peaceful your life is? Because you feel good about it. How can you not feel good about putting somebody else over? I don't understand the mentality. You mean to tell me I'm going to feel better if I sit here and rip somebody apart on a personal level? They're clueless, they're stupid, they don't have a brain, they don't know what they're doing, whatever the case may be, opposed to me putting them over, what a great individual they are, what their contributions are, what their heart is, who they really are. You've got the choice of what you're going to do. You're either going to build people up or you're going to tear people down. I try to make a living out of building people up, and I will continue to try to do that. That's the message. It's not my message. It's God's message, and he's sending it through me, and he's showing you how freaking flawed I am and how I'm not the perfect man. He's only the perfect man. But he relays these things through me because you're just like me. You screw up, you F up, you make mistakes, you yell at your kids, you yell at a coworker, you watch a wrestling show you don't like and you're cutting promos on everybody. That's who we all are. But at the end of the day, we got to center ourselves back to Christ, and we got to remember who we're supposed to be and who we're representing and how we're supposed to act in our everyday lives. And the more you center yourself and the more you listen to the Holy Spirit, the closer you get to that goal. That's the whole game, folks. That's the name of the game. That's the game we're playing here on earth. The more you change to make yourself more godlike, to walk in his footsteps, the more Christian-like you become, and you take that message out in the world, and it rubs off on other people. What am I, a freaking preacher here? I'm not a preacher. It's simple. It's really, really simple. We all have it in us. At the end of the day, it depends whether we want to listen to it or we don't. That's it. Your choice. That's why it's called free will. Your choice. You can continue to put yourself over and bury everybody else, or you can make a decision. I'm going to put somebody else over today. Today, I'm going to put somebody before me. And then you keep doing that more and more and more on a constant basis, and you change the world, and it's a better place for all of us. And I've spoken enough. So that's it, man. This is the last time you're going to see me before I'm over there. Please say a prayer for me. I'm going to rely totally on faith, but I will be there, and I will catch you next time when I come back. I thank everybody for listening to this. Take care. God bless each and every one of you.